Okay, so what's going on, people? I know I set this thing for 1, so it's a couple minutes early. The only reason that I do that is just so I can get the notifications out there, because there are some people that do that, right? And just to give it time to get out there and be live and whatnot. So that way, when it's actually 1 o'clock, I can just kind of jump right into this. I do like for whatever it is that I'm doing to start like on time. Also, for whatever reason, there happened to be, it seemed like there was more stuff to talk about this time around. So this list is going to be a little bit longer than it was the last couple times around. And I don't want to drag this thing out all day. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be long enough, probably. I just like to get in there, talk about whatever needs to be talked about, and then we part ways without taking up too much more time than is necessary. You know? But that, and also figure maybe I can jump in here and say a few things. So one thing that's been kind of wondering is like, how long am I really going to be doing this here? This whole YouTube thing or whatever. Didn't really think it through when I started. So it's like, am I just going to do this forever, or is there like some kind of time when it's going to make sense to stop? I feel like there's not much of a reason, honestly, to continue doing it like forever, because eventually it just becomes all the same. Buy some shoes, talk about some shoes, maybe eventually like talk about other stuff as well, which I already kind of do. But I mean, at what point does it just get to be like, okay, I've done enough of this? I don't kind of question things like that. But people are still watching the stuff, so there's at least that part of it that kind of gives me a little more incentive to keep on going with it. And it's not like it's getting old or anything. It's just one of those things you wonder about. Also, as like I stop buying as many things as I do, that's going to be a factor because then maybe people will stop tuning in so much. I don't know. Or maybe they'll tune in more because there won't be as much crap to filter through. Not really sure. Just I guess I'll just have to wait wait until the future to figure that out or whatever. But that'll be another conversation for another day. But otherwise, I don't know what else is much going on other than just that. So once I, like I said, once it hits about 1, I'll get this thing pulled up so I can start doing this here recap, right? Which it's not really a whole lot of stuff that I'm really big on. Hey, vlogging with Demetrius, what's going on? Not a whole lot of stuff that like I'm super big on or whatever. It's kind of just one of those things where you look back and you just see, okay, well, what did come out over the last month or so? Talk about it, see what other people think and all that good stuff. See how the pickups themselves actually went, normal things. So, excuse me. So there's that. Now get back to this YouTube page so I can actually see what people are saying. All right, cool. So first and foremost, well, I won't say foremost necessarily, but first up, we do have some dunks. There's a fair amount of those, so get ready for that. Now, I don't remember the names of a lot of these because I don't pay attention to dunk releases. It's just not a thing that I'm into so much. But there's a number of them, so we'll just kind of get through this, right? So these upper ones here got some kind of a cow sort of thing going on with a little bit of beige in the middle. I don't know what the deal is. I know that I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not like the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's still something I could do without. And I am doing without because I didn't get any of these. Let's see, those white and red blue dunks are awesome. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm sure they're fantastic. And then there's the white and blue ones, right? So I know to me, like he's saying, like they're awesome, and I'm sure maybe in person they are. I don't have anything against the color combination. As I said on somebody's review, whoever did one that I watched, it's not a color that is, I don't think it's for me personally. And who knows, maybe it was a women's release. But either way, for me, it's just not a color combination that I could really see myself wearing a whole lot. Now, this lower one, the one under it, I can't remember what that one was called either. Those, it's got like some sort of corduroy type of thing, so that kind of gets my attention. But I'm not really big on that little piece on the back. Let me blow this up just a tad. I'm not really big on that little patch thing down on the back end there. I don't know. It's just I think it's just me. I think it's just a personal thing where I don't want more on the shoe than needs to be there. I get like extra layers or whatever sometimes, but just random stuff, random little decor or whatever this is there for. I'm just not a fan of that. But otherwise, though, now looking at this a little closer, I'm not sure if I really like the overall thing, but eh, I don't like most things to be honest. So for me to say I don't like it kind of means nothing at this point. Like Chip, I don't like Chip. He keeps showing up every month though. What's going on, man? Appreciate you stopping in. Now this one kind of reminds me of mostly just by colors. Kind of reminds me of like that Turduncan release from last year, or maybe it doesn't. Like in my mind, it does though. But just because it has these like fall type colors, I guess that's probably the only reason, and some interesting materials going on. But it does seem kind of cool in that sense. But I don't know. It seems like it's got a lot going on to the point to where it's like I don't know that I'd want it. But the same could be said about those. What was that? Those Super Turf Adidas Sean Wotherspoon shoes. Those had a lot going on, and I like those. So I don't know. I guess it's just how it's executed ultimately, right? So now these red and white ones, right? I've got no problems with these whatsoever. These Dunk Lows. The only thing for me is that I don't know why, but I'm just not like a huge red and white fan. I do have some Rodmans in that color and a couple pairs of 12s, neither of which I was like super big on. But I don't know what it is. Like for some reason, like red and white just it's just not really my color, except for those 112s, like the ones where it was mostly red with a little bit of white, the alternate gym reds. That came out pretty good. But something like this, I look at it and I can totally see why people would be into it, because it definitely works for a lot of things. But it's just a color combination that I just can't do. Let's see, what's Chip saying? I'm his least favorite YouTuber, but somehow in some way you're still my favorite. Yeah, I don't know how I do it either. I have no idea. Just sit here and just do me, I guess. Try to be authentic. People say that takes you a long way or something. Now, color-wise, I do kind of like this upper pair here. I didn't really look at these pictures when I was putting them in here, but now I see them. I kind of like the brown and the black combination. The only thing that kind of throws it off a little bit for me is the difference in materials. I would like it to all be one thing. It's like if it's suede on the back, I would like it to be suede everywhere else. I mean, the swoosh, sure, you can go either way with that, but at least over here, like I'd like it to be the same. Sometimes I'm just a little bit picky. Not saying I want every shoe to be like that, but in this particular case, for me, I think it'd be better if it was all the same material. That'd be kind of nice. Now this one though, kind of like that blue pair. Like I like these. I don't think I'd wear them as much, but I do think I'd wear these a lot more than those blue ones. Because I mean, it's a simple gray and white color. You can't really go wrong with that. I mean, they look like they definitely show their age quickly as far as getting dirty or whatever. But I mean, they're shoes, right? Like that's what they do. They get dirty. They're on your feet, like down on the ground where all the dirt is, right? So I don't really get the whole thing, people getting too worked up over shoes getting dirty. But I'm just saying that these would show it a little quicker. And I would like to at least get a good couple wears in before stuff starts to turn. But all that aside, I mean, I think it's a fine combination. I mean, it's gray and white. Like you can't really go wrong with that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Same sort of thing, but instead of the gray, you got this pink, right? Now, I'm not gonna say it's a women's color or whatever just because it's pink, but it's not for me. And it might have actually been a women's release, but I think we've all seen enough shoes to know that just because it's a woman's release or a dude's release doesn't mean that it's only gonna be women or dudes that buy it, right? I mean, I buy grade school things. I'm not a grade school person. I just happen to have grade school sized feet. So you go with what fits, right? And what fits what you're into. This doesn't quite fit what I'm into. I do have some pink shoes, I do. But this is one that I could pass on that and be completely fine. If this was like readily available, Someone's like, hey, you want to buy these for retail? No would be my answer. Like a solid no. This is another pink one. I mean, I guess if I had to, yeah, if for some reason I had to choose between these two, I'd, I think I'd go with the bottom one because it comes off closer to like these Arctic Orange Prestos and Hirachis that I have, and that I can kind of get behind. I'm not a fan of this pink upper with this gray bottom though. That maybe it looks better in person, but just looking at it on the pictures and stuff, I'm kind of not really feeling that, you know? It doesn't seem right to me for some reason. And what do you guys think? And then again, I might be going through these a little too quickly now that I think about it for people to actually like chime in and say what their thoughts are. But there's not a lot being said anyway, so until more things are said, I guess I'll just assume that this is a decent pace. Now this one right here, this one is fine. I'm not 100% on board because I don't like the. Usually I'm all for like a gum bottom kind of thing. This time around though, it doesn't. It's not working for me. I think they should have gone like a purple, maybe like that lighter purple, or even the darker one. But otherwise, overall though, this one's okay. This one's okay. It gets a pass. And what is going on, Jeezy? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate that. Is this another work day for you, and you just like taking a quick couple minutes away, or are you actually able to relax on this fine Sunday? I mean, at this point, like, given what I've seen of your workload and whatnot, I don't know if you really know the meaning of the word relax anymore. But let's see. Up next, another dunk. Like I said, there's a lot of them, and eventually we kind of switch off into like some, what do you call it, collab type things and whatnot. Not sure if we're there yet or not, because again, I only follow these so loosely. So let's see. So many colorways of dunks really milking. Yeah, they are. Like, there is no need, in my personal opinion, for this many to have come out. And again, going back to it, we're only looking at September, right? I could see if this was like over the span of like a couple months and I was doing these like quarterly or something. And so, oh yeah, there's a good 12 dunks that came out in the last 3 months. Okay, that's still a lot, but it's not terrible. At this point, I don't know how many we've gone over, but for it to have only been a month, that's a lot. That's like multiple pairs per week. And I know people say like, oh, there's so many 350s coming out, and there's so many like ones coming out. Like, dunks are kind of like beating everything, and it seems like some people are starting to catch on that, hey, like, this is a little unnecessary. At first, I think people were, oh man, dunks, love dunks. Now I think they're starting to see that it's not okay. These right here, how are these called? Something's quarter, something or other. I put in on a raffle for these at one of the stores, like semi locally, because I was like, this isn't bad, I'm normally not like a big just plain black and white kind of person, but this has like the zebra sort of thing going on, so that kind of was like, all right, well, this I can work with. But the raffle didn't go my way, which is fine, you know, because I'm honestly not sure I'd really even like dunks, like to wear them, because they remind me of Jordan 1s, right? And I'm not a huge fan of wearing those. Just from a comfort perspective, they're just not where I want them to be. So that's part of the reason I'm also like so less inclined to really try for dunks. Because I feel like it'd just be something that I just wouldn't really make much use of. Let's see, what's he saying? I'm on call, but just take. Okay, see, that's cool, right? Being on call and just not having to really being able to just kind of sit back and relax to some extent, I mean, it's Sunday. That's my preferred thing to do. Usually, I don't even leave the house on Sundays, right? Except for today, though, I'm going off to see Shang-Chi later. I joined the AMC movie club thing. It's like $25 a month, and you can see 3 movies a week. So, seems all right. And there's one like relatively close, so it kind of works out all right. So these right here, these both have a fair amount going on that I'm not really into. Now, I know that it's kind of like one of those things where some people like will look at this and think, okay, this is the best thing ever for whatever reasons. And if there is anybody that's really into these, let me know what you do like about them, because I am curious. Because taking it solely off of the visual, not so much. And then when I look at like that top one, the swoosh, it kind of reminds, has like a weird bubblegum sort of thing looking on it, look to it, you know. And then like with that blue outsole, I don't know, man. Like sometimes I just wonder what are these people doing, you know, like with these dunks and stuff. Like, is it to the point to where you know that they're all gonna sell? So it's like, why try? Just make the shoe anyway. Just kind of, I don't know, spin a wheel and pick random colors and materials and just put it out there for the world to buy. That's how it's coming off to me. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's outside of the ones where it's just like a standard, like, oh, hey, here's some black and white color, or here's some blue and orange. It's like, okay, fine. Those are just colors. They match up with like various things that people would be into. No problem. But some of this stuff. So now, a little bit more on to the collaboration end, now that we're through the dunks, right? So I forget what the upper Adidas was, what that was like a collaboration with. I know the bottom one is that was Bait and Cowboy Bebop, neither of which I'm super into. Though I did buy some Bait Transformers a few years ago. It was like Bait Wu-Tang Transformers. Weird combination, but they're kind of cool figures. Let's see. I never like Air Force Ones, so Dunks and Jordan Ones was my go-to. Okay. Yeah, see, so for me, like if I had to pick one of those three, I would go with the Dunks. I mean, excuse me, I wouldn't go with the Dunks or the Air Force Ones. I'd go with the Jordans. But if I had to, if I had to eliminate just one, I would eliminate the Air Force Ones personally, because I don't know, man. I've always just looked at those and just even like colors that I'm cool with, I always just look at that model and say, no, thank you. I can look at a dunk in a color combination that I like and be on board with it. Like those Donatello ones or those Michelangelo ones, either of those were fantastic to me. But if that color combination was thrown on an Air Force One, I'd still want nothing to do with it. I think it's more so just the model. But like, there is a pro and con to on call. Yeah, I could see that. And then these were from Billie Eilish, right? So I don't know if there's any sort of meaning behind either of these colors or anything. The top one was a KO and the bottom is a 15, if I recall correctly, a Jordan 1 KO. And I don't know, like it can be okay when there's a shoe that's all one color, but there are some shoes that just don't work. Now, this upper one, I don't know, like I feel like if I was to buy one of these, it'd be the one, right? Because I don't like this look. However, I do like this color overall. So if they put the beige on the one, that to me would be a winning combination right there. That I could get behind. And I like green. I like all pretty much all shades of green for the most part. But I would just rather have that in the beige. I just think it would come off a little bit better. But yeah, I'm also curious why they decided to work with her. I mean, I don't know if she's got like some sort of background in like being like a big shoe person or what the case was, but these shoes are now out there. How they sold, I have no idea. I honestly had only heard that it was going to happen, and then I just saw these pictures today, so I guess it did happen at some point in the month. Let's see. And Jeezy says he likes the 15 a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I've ever seen a pair in person, but I mean, what do you like about it? Is it like the look of the shoe overall? Is it made well? Is it like more comfortable than your average Jordan? Is it lightweight maybe? I don't know. Or is it just or do you just like it? Because sometimes people just like things, That happens all the time. But while he answers that, so the Sakai's often come up in conversation on lives and such. even when there's no pictures of them, even when it's completely unrelated and off topic, they often get thrown out, and people will just throw a random question in there and say, hey, how do you feel about Sacai's? And my answer is always that I don't like them, right? So when I saw this on the list of shoes that came out, I was like, let me go ahead and put one out there so that way I can say for this particular live, as I often do, that I'm not a fan. Let's see, it was lightweight, and at the time, it was lightweight at the time because of the woven up. Oh, it's okay. I have some woven Prestos, man. Like, I haven't worn. Maybe I'll pull those out this week. It's been a while since I wore those. I just saw the box the other day when I was looking for something. Kind of forgets, when you get to have a certain number of shoes or whatever, it's like you forget about certain things, you know. But okay, I could see lightweight at the time, yeah. Because nowadays, like, what is considered lightweight for like a modern release, totally different ball game. Oh man, like I don't remember. Oh wait, these were all those Jolly Rancher releases. I think that's what all was going on here. I don't remember for sure, but I mean not Jolly Rancher. Excuse me, Jelly Belly. Right? There's a lot of Jelly Belly stuff going on last month. Kind of like that Power Rangers collaboration where like, and I get why they put out like 5 of those because there's like 5 of them, right? But this is like, I mean, when it comes to the Jelly Bellies, like there's a million of those. Like you don't need to cash in on like all of them. You can leave a little to the imagination. But they were out there just kind of just making all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't all great. I mean, it wasn't all terrible either, but it was all still stuff I could do without. Maybe for the price, maybe they're good as far as quality and price point or whatever, but it wasn't something I could get into. Oh, I did see some Haribo Puma Suedes recently. Some of those colors came off pretty decent. They're hanging around at the local champs, at least over here. But if you're into gummy bears or gummy bear colored things, you might want to consider those. And given that they're Puma Suedes, I want to say the retail is like 70, so not too bad. And more than likely, you can find them for a pretty decent discount. And then continuing that trend, more of the Jelly Belly line, right? So there's a lot of that. These Insta Pumps, Insta Furies, whatever. Like, man, they're so busy to me. I've seen some that are okay, but at the same time, I think it's just the overall silhouette is just something I can't do. But these New Balances, though, like these are pretty all right. Like the top one, The lower pair, I'm not against them. You know what I'm saying? It was just not really something that I could see myself buying. But that was Levi's, and I'm trying to remember the top one was something Fresh Goods, and I think they're both 99. I think they're both the same model. Yeah, 990s B3. But if I could get either one, I'd go with the top one. If they were both for like a decent price, then I'd consider going with both anyway, even though I'm not super huge on that bottom pair. But the thing is, like I think these are part of the Made series, like made in the US, I want to say, possibly UK, and those can be a little pricier. So that's why, like, if I had to choose one, I would just kind of choose the one, because I don't know what this particular retail was, but I know the retail of other made in the UK shoes that I have was like 2 something. Like I'm thinking 220, somewhere between 200 and 220. And it's kind of a lot, Don't get me wrong, for New Balance, I get some people are like, man, that's too much money for them, but the quality of the materials and all that good stuff, that is kind of where the money comes in. Is it worth actually buying? That's a different question. And that's kind of up to, like, do you like the total package of it? Do you like the way it looks? Do you like these colors? Do you think you like the way they feel when you walk around in them? It becomes a very different ball game. And then there was some Monsters Inc Adidas. So there's Sully and George Sanderson. So definitely like not my cup of tea. I was cool with Monsters Inc. That movie was solid, and Monsters University or whatever it was called. But neither of these need to exist, in my personal opinion. I think the world could just do without them. But one of them was a grade school release, and that's somewhat excusable. But I I think it was the bottom one. But still, I don't know. Like, I will say that I like the fact that Adidas is willing to do so many different things and try so many different things. Show some creativity once in a while. Take those chances. But man, I tell you, some of them are not good. And then these, the only reason these are on here, I'm not particularly drawn to them. But when I first saw like, oh, Prince, whatever, Prince, Reebok, whatever. At first I was thinking like Prince, like the singer. But then I looked at him like, no, this is definitely not that. This Prince is some sort of tennis brand or something. So very different from like the Purple Rain guy. But hey, sometimes things have same names. And then these right here, the Sean Wotherspoon, what's this called? Super Turf Adventure, Jiminy Cricket. This one, I actually got these, and I gotta say they're pretty nice. As far as the materials go and all that good stuff, it's probably what you would expect of a collaboration type thing. And I know it's not really for everybody because it has so much crap happening, but for me, I like colorful things and I like trail shoes. And I like the fact that you can take this pouch off because it looks ridiculous on here. So for me, this was worth trying for. And I did get through on the confirmed thing, which often goes my way. So, I do appreciate the fairness in the Adidas raffles because even though I don't win all of them, I win enough to feel like I have a chance. Whereas with like the Nike ones, and I will say I haven't put in on any draws through them lately, but I just never felt that it was going to happen anyway. And when I did win draws through there, it was for stuff that like nobody really wanted, and I myself wasn't even super into. I think like the last one I won was it was either the Twist 12s or the Easter 12s, whichever one came out more recently is the one that I won. So I won the last one I won because I won both of them. And these, so the Amanair, whatever, that name has been thrown around a lot, usually with some Jordan 3s, but apparently it's also attached to this right here, this Ultra 4D, right? So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's not something that I would go for personally. Like, I'm kind of tapped out on these. I have two pair and I'm good. But it's a comfortable shoe, right? Like the upper is solid. Wait, three? I think I have three pairs of these because I have that Packer release also. So if this is in line with like the Packer release, as far as comfort and materials go of the upper, it's going to be solid because even though the midsole, like the 4D thing, isn't as cushiony as Boost, if you give it some time, let it get broken in a little bit, you're in for a treat. And then the upper that they make with like the Ultra Boost style upper, usually with some higher quality materials, that is a nice way to double down on that comfort. So you're probably going to walk away with something that's pretty nice. A lot more wearable, in my opinion, than other things. Because again, I haven't worn a pair of threes in forever, but if I had to choose one thing to walk around in all day, I'm taking this over pretty much a Jordan anything. And I don't know how they sold. I don't even know if people really even knew that this happened, but it did at some point. I mean, I didn't even know. Though I did know about these. These right here are from I was about to say Jordan, James Bond 007 collaboration releases, right? Now, these are both Ultra Boost 20s, right? Which, in my personal opinion, is not their best work, right? As far as like the Ultra Boost models that I've worn, I would put the 20 like as whatever the lowest number is of however many models I've tried, it'd be that one. And it's not because, it just looks weird or anything. It's just like the overall execution, like the way they feel with like that overly plastic feeling upper. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but if that's your thing, if you try a pair and you like them, cool, great, I get it. But it's not great to me. And so past that, the midsole is fine though. Like it's got that same comfort as like an Ultra Boost 19 or certain other releases. But yeah, these going back to them, like these 007 ones, my problem with them is more so that they just look so plain and generic, right? I mean, the upper one, it's got this little marble kind of thing going on, so that one's not so bad, but it's still overall like just at a glance, it's just like a black Ultra Boost, right? Same with this one. Again, just a black Ultra Boost. These two, these are both also from the James Bond series. This one at least is a little bit different in that it's gray. I guess that's the only thing that really makes it different. Didn't really think that one through, did I? But it's got that going on. It's got some white on the side, but so it's a departure from just being all black, but it's not a departure from looking bad, because it still looks bad to me, right? I like the style that they did with the midsole here. I would just rather it be like on something else. Yeah, because and again, it's another Ultra Boost 20. So once again, not their best work. Overall, I mean, this one is still very plain, but it'd probably be in some ways the best one. It's not going to, the midsole isn't going to be as comfortable necessarily, depending on what you're into, as the Ultra Boost 20 style, sure, but I mean, I would prefer it, I guess, if I had to buy one for some reason, if somebody forced me into it. Even though I'm not a big fan of like the white shoes or whatever, probably be this one. But I don't know. It's also very similar to a to a Futurecraft 4D that you'll see in a little while here. And then this one I forget if this one was in that series or not. No, yes, it was. It was slightly different in that it's a summer ready shoe, but it's still one of the Bond series. So they really went all out on this one. This one, it kind of has more of like a 19 sort of feel, but it's going to be constructed a little bit different to be, summer ready and ultra breathable. But I haven't worn a pair of these personally, so I can only gauge how I feel about them based on what I see of other models in this model and say that they're probably pretty nice, but that's just because I have things with this style of upper and I have things with this style of midsole. I don't have anything at all like this though. This is the Afro Punk Adidas triple layer, and I'm sure it just is made for like a certain demographic, like probably like a demographic of woman, and I am not it. Unclick that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just it's the kind of thing that I see sometimes when I go to shows, like depending on like the type of music or whatever. Usually with like more buckles on it or something. They're going for like that early Marilyn Manson type of look or whatever. I see a lot of that at different places. Now, these right here, these I do kind of want. I think they're still in stock on the on the ASICS site, but the only thing that's really holding me back from getting them is that I have a lot of gel light threes, right? So I don't need any more, but that doesn't stop me from wanting more, right? So this one, I don't know, man. Like it still might happen. I'm kind of just hoping that they sell out while I'm still being indecisive. Let's see, summer ready version are so nice to wear to get breathability when temps get higher. Yeah, because like from what I'm seeing, they look very much like what I would expect from that type of shoe. I have a couple cold ready variations, right? And I have other things that are constructed in this way, but just not those exactly. So I'd like to try like a summer ready pair, even though summer is pretty much over. But I'd like to try a pair just to kind of see what they're all about. But I do have the CC1, which I think they only made one color. No, they made at least two, because I've only seen two of the CC1. No, three, because there was like that navy blue one also, which I wanted more. I don't know what happened. They just stopped making them. But yeah, it kind of sucks. Adidas sometimes like they'll make new models and they'll only make like a couple colors and then that's it. But you never know when they're going to be that limited edition. And I don't want to say limited edition like oh, you got to go and get it. But limited as in they don't really plan to make many colors. Then you have stuff like the Nmd or whatever, which comes out and it's just around forever. But these here, though, I do want these. I'm just not sure if I want to buy another pair of Gel Light 3s because there's a big stack of those over there. There's one right here, actually. Let's see, not in Arizona. Temps are still in the 90s. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I've never lived in Arizona, but I've been near there, and let's see, I went to the first WrestleMania that I went to was in Arizona in 2010, and I remember like whatever that stadium was down in, was it in Phoenix? No, because the Raw was in Phoenix. It was the University of something. Either way, it was awful because like the roof opened up and we were sitting opposite of the sun, so like the sun was just like in our face, just like burning us alive forever. They eventually closed it after like the planes flew over or whatever, but man, it was terrible. So yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with the Arizona heat, but more in like its peak. So if that's what it is like at its peak, I can only imagine what it's still like at this point in the year. Let's see, your collection is gonna get huge, tough to cycle through them all. It is. Like I would say pass on the Asics unless you're in love with them. And see, that's the thing, right? Like I really like the way they look. The only thing that's making me not buy them is just the fact that I have so many. And I've been like documenting more or less like every shoe that I've worn for the last several months, like 10 months or so. So if you look at like the kicks of the day playlist, like it goes back to like mid-December, right? And that's like with no repeats. So yeah, it definitely is not easy to work everything into the rotation because if I go to work, I wear whatever for the day, and sometimes I go to the gym afterwards, sometimes I don't, but usually that's it. So, like it's not easy. And I'm not trying to say it's like I'm complaining because it's like not really a thing to complain about. It's just, it'd be nice to, have fewer shoes. And the way to have fewer shoes is to stop buying so many. So you live in northern Arizona. Pretty chilly here at the moment. Oh, okay. So got two people from over there right here. These right here, the ACG Moabs, right? A couple people have mentioned these to me because people that know that I like trail shoes, right? They'll say, "Oh, are you gonna get those? Or did you get those?" Blah blah blah. And they also have like a Hirachi sort of look, right? And I'm into Hirachis as well. So it's like it's a Hirachi trail shoe in a sense, right? So you would think that I'd buy them. But I don't know. I'm not really. The biggest thing that's kind of like holding me back on these is the height, right? I'm not a big fan of like high shoes. I like lows. It's just what I'm used to. So anytime I wear something that's not a low, it feels awkward to me. Like I just feel out of place. So I like what they're doing. I like that whole vibe. I just don't know that I actually like the shoe itself. So that's kind of what holds me back on these Moabs. Otherwise, like I'm thinking I'm leaning towards the top pair if I chose to buy one because that seems more like my style. The lower one to me makes me think more of like a Knicks sort of color, and I don't like to buy things in colors of teams because if I don't like that particular team, I don't want people thinking like, "Oh, are you a fan of such and such?" Because I'm not. I don't even like sports. So that's the thing, and I get that. Yeah, it's kind of a silly reason, right, to like stray away from certain things, but some of those silly reasons also help me keep the collection in check. So there's that. But yeah, the upper one, even though I have some other stuff that's loosely the same color, I still would probably side with that one. It also looks like it'd be more of a trail thing. Those lower ones, they just don't have that same vibe as much. But yeah, nothing against them. I just I just don't know. I just don't know how I'd feel about that. Though these are also like a trail shoe, right? The Nike Free. I remember like I bought a pair of Frees in like it was 2006, right? Yeah, it's 2006 because it was like right before the first time I went to Canada. So yeah, in 2006 I bought a pair of like the Nike Frees and I walked around in those for however long. And like they were pretty cool, you know. And then they just kind of like faded away. I did end up getting more into like the Lunar threes and stuff years later, maybe a good 10 years later. And then those kind of faded away. And so when I saw these pop up, I was thinking, these are only like $110. Like this could be something that I pick up just because, right? So we'll see. They're still fully in stock on Nike.com. They were on initially on sneakers for some odd reason, but they're still fully in stock on Nike.com. And I foresee these dropping in price. So I'll probably keep a pair in the cart. And whenever that price drop happens, hopefully there's like some kind of, I don't know, maybe there's like going to be like a Columbus Day sale or there's probably going to be some kind of sale. But usually I wait for the price of the shoe to drop and then I wait for like the next actual sale. So then it drops even further. That's usually like what I like to do. Because again, like I didn't get as many shoes as I have by like paying full retail every time. Because that's freaking ridiculous. Now these Space Hippie 01s, there's actually 3 of them, isn't it? So this is the Space Hippie 1, right? Because they have 4 from what I recall. But they haven't seemed to be making a lot of 2 through 4 for whatever reason. But the ones are the ones that I actually would like to try. It's just that I see some colors every so often that are decent. This middle one in particular, I see some colors that are pretty decent every now and then. But then I see the shoe in person, and it just looks so ridiculous that I like don't know that I could really see myself walking around in it. I mean, I don't know what you guys think of the Space Hippie line, if you like any of those 4 more than the others, or if they're all just trash to you, or if they're all great to you, whatever. But in person, I don't know, it's a weird look. I've heard they're really comfortable though. So there's that. But, you know, like there's a line. Like I don't mind buying stuff that doesn't look amazing, but is comfortable. Like the 350s, right? The 350 is a weird shape, right? It's not for everybody. I totally understand that. But I buy my share because they're comfortable, right? And having enough random colors of things kind of helps with like, you know, depending on what else I might be wearing. I'm not a big fashion guy, but sometimes you want colors of what you're wearing to be at least close. Let's see. And he says the Space Hippies aren't very comfortable. The midsole is a brick. Which were, I mean, I'm guessing you're speaking overall about like all of them, but did you wear a particular number or have you worn like all of them? Because that's the thing. Like I've heard some people, and it's even, and the thing is like when you listen to people like talking about like what they find comfortable and what they don't, like I get everybody feels a different way, right? Totally happens. Like for me, like I always say that like I don't care for NMDs, but then there are some people who will say they're the best thing in the world. So I just kind of like to hear from people about them when they don't like something and just to see why. And he's saying like the midsole being like a brick, like being super stiff, obviously. So I totally get that because it doesn't look like it'd be that comfortable, right? But I don't know what that material is. If it was like when I look at like the React stuff is like crazy comfort. Let's see. The hippies are not aesthetically pleasing. Just oh no, they are not, not at all. Like they, like again, when I say like when I look at these and I say I like the middle one, that's just the one that looks good out of these ones. You know, overall it's still like a decent shoe, but most of the time when I see the space hippies, it's usually like the least weird looking one that I kind of like. You know, it's like you look at all these ones that are just like down here, like bottom of the barrel, and then he's like, oh, this one's okay. Maybe that one would be the one to buy. But it's such a weird look, though. I don't know, man. It looks like it just looks like a homeless person's shoe. You know, like if I saw a homeless person wearing these, yeah, I could see that. You know, nothing against homeless people, but this just looks like something that they would wear, you know? Especially this bottom one, because it's got like that dirty look. Again, not trying to talk down on the homeless. Let's see. Just the fours, maybe the others are better. I don't know, because like I've heard the one I've heard is supposed to be like the almost like a runner in a sense. So it's supposed to be like a little bit more comfortable or whatever. But just from a, I don't remember what any of the other ones look like, right? Honestly. But I do remember thinking that the one was the better look of the four. So that's kind of where my mind is. So I don't know, man. Like I might I might wait for one to just be on sale, and if it's low enough, and this is where it comes in handy that like my brother wears the same size, so I can buy it and see what I think, walk around and do one of those like week-long wear tests or something or other, just to see how I truly feel about it. And if I don't like it, I'll send it to him or something. Because I don't know, man. Like I'm curious to try them out. I'm apprehensive about the whole thing at the same time. I want to just buy stuff just to buy stuff. Let's see, the hippies will sit until they're 7% off. I could see that. This month was slow for me. Yeah, I didn't. This was a slowish month for me too. I didn't really grab much of anything either. I mean, because I usually when I go back to look at what I for these, when I go back to look and see what I did buy for the month, it's usually like a decent amount, you know. But this time around, not really at all, which is a good thing. I don't remember what these were called. It was like the ISPA somethings, you know. Now I don't know what this material is on here. It looks like it almost looks like a blanket, like this bottom pair, and this upper one, I don't know. It looks like an old dish rag. So I don't know. I don't know. And just again on the upper one, something about the way this thing is overall shaped, it just I don't like it. It's hard to say exactly why, but I'm just not on board. And then like the bottom one, looking at it again, because somebody had who was I talking to the other day? Gravy. He was talking about these, and I looked at them briefly, but now I'm looking at them a little bit more, and I don't know, man. Like, it's like a weird, it's like a large space boot sort of build, you know. So I'm not sure, but I am still curious as to what this is, like what this really feels like, because it looks like it feel really nice, you know, almost like a shoe you'd wear around the house, like a house shoe or whatever, you know. But I don't know, like a slipper. But at the same time, it looks like it has some sort of like utility rugged style approach to it. So I don't know, I'm curious about these. It's one of those things I'd like to see it, but I don't know. I don't know. Let's see, what does this say? ISPA seem to push the fashion envelope with technology from mid to high cut styles, moon fashion maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I guess now that like space travel is starting to be more and more of a thing, you still need to be like crazy rich, but in the past you needed to be like an actual astronaut. So nowadays, like they're getting these things out there. So I'm sure old Jeff Bezos is probably wearing a pair going to the moon or whatever it is he does when he's not doing Amazon stuff. But moving on though, these right here got a couple Adidas actually. So this upper pair, the Futurecraft 4D, this was a release that it seemed like a lot of people wanted, like because they came back earlier in the year. They had the black pair, but like the green midsole, that same 4D green that every pair of 4Ds had. So I picked up a pair of those months ago, and those are nice. Those are really comfortable. I really like the way the upper is done. It's stitched very nicely. It's got good material, good breathability. The midsole on there is really nice. The one thing that helps it is like the outsole's got this sort of a padding style approach, is what it looks like, rather than those like weird dots and stuff that you see on other 4D shoes. So it was an all around really good experience wearing those things whenever that happened. I don't know when it happened because it was I remember wearing them, but I went back to look through my kicks of the day videos. Like, it's not in any of them. So I don't know if I like wore them and was planning to like to wear them a few times before I really just said what I thought of them. Because I think I may have just worn them to work one day and then that was it. So I don't know. I'll probably have to come back to those once my year is up and I've like done my whole year of no repeats, and then I'll probably break those out again. But I don't know. Either way, these are really nice. This color in particular, underwhelming, right? But if you happen to be curious about the Futurecraft 4Ds, I'm not saying they're necessarily worth the retail price, but whatever price you think is worth paying for like a comfortable shoe, if they get to that, then go ahead and buy a pair. And then this Nmd S1. Let's blow this thing up just a tad. So this was one that I'm already not an NMD guy. I think I mentioned that. And this one, I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. I'm also curious with what's going on down here. It almost looks like these are like the top of, you know, like that Adidas logo where it looks like a plant or something. Almost makes me think about that, like that right there. But if you look at the top of it, it looks like that's what's going on down here. Like they just put a bunch of those on the bottom. But so this, right? Color wise, underwhelming right off the top. Model wise, it's unappealing right off the top. Construction wise, seems like it could be doing some decent things, right? I can see how this could be a comfortable shoe. I can. But I just don't like the overall total package of it, right? And I'm not sure what's going on here in this middle area, like, because I know like the NMDs always have those side blocks for, was it a stability thing or something? I forget, but they have that going on, and then the upper looks like it's going to be like your standard Primity style upper, but it looks more in line, not so much with like some of the older Ultra Boosts, but something a little more, a little thicker and more modern. Almost, I'm trying to think of what it reminds me of. In some ways, the Ultra Boost mid, I guess, but it looks like it could be a nice upper, right? As far as the feel of it and all that stuff goes. But ultimately, the shoe just looks bad, and that weighs pretty heavily on if I buy something or not. Not saying I'll never end up with a pair because never say never or whatever, but it's it's gonna take like one heck of a color and one heck of a price drop. I don't know what these cost, but it's gonna have to be significantly lower. And if this is an NMD and they continue to do this with, if this is just like the new NMD and these are just going to be as popular or as common as the other models or other colors of that model, okay, cool. I can wait. But yeah, no. Also, no to this, the prototype. I remember like watching DB Kick's video and he's like, yeah, there's like this perforation so you can like cut the shoe and make it a low. And it's like, what? That's my mental reaction. I'm like, what? Like, it already just as a high one high, whatever, it already just doesn't look that good to me. So I don't know. Sometimes like the Jordan ones kind of venture into like that dunk territory, but they just throw some crap out there and like people will buy it because like they will, right? Certain models are going to sell. You put a half decent one out there, people are going to buy it. You put a half decent 11 out there, people are going to buy it. Even those platinum tints that people talk trash about, pretty sure they may not have sold out day one, the ones that looked like eggnog or whatever. Yeah, they may not have sold out day one from what I recall, but sometimes it's just a matter of people waiting to get paid. You passed on the prototype. Good for you. Let's see. Don't know if you recall. I mentioned 40 fused with Ultra Boost midsole and everything. Oh yeah, yeah. Because you were saying that you want to see infinity laces also with them like kind of like hidden towards the back. Yeah, I remember that. I'm a little behind on responding to things because outside of this, I just kind of took the weekend off of doing any of the like social media stuff, you know. I posted like something last night just so I could like round off my like shoes of the week thing or whatever. But yeah, otherwise I've just been kind of like laying low, doing some studying for some college things and watching Black Widow. Finally saw Black Widow yesterday. I'm like, it's like the one person that hadn't seen it, I guess. So, but yeah, that could be an interesting combination. I mean, because I know we were talking about it a little bit about like how Adidas. I haven't seen them do much with like combination midsoles. You know, again, there was like those Adizero Pros that had the light strike and the 4D. I mean, excuse me, and the boost. There was the 40 forward something. I forget what like the full name was. It had like the 40 in the back, and I think it was just like a standard foam in the front, maybe. So there was that one, but I haven't seen many combination midsole shoes, but and I don't think there's been a whole lot on like the Adidas or on the Nike side either. I mean, there's like the 270s; those are done a certain way, sure, and something else, right? Yeah, it's like the React 270, but either way, it could be interesting though. And so then let's see, this upper one was okay. So I think this one was just like a standard KO maybe. Then the bottom one was one of the comfort releases, if I recall right. So I do want to try one of these, and I've heard some different things about like some of the different Jordan 1 comfort shoes, where like they kind of switch up the midsole and different models treat it differently. So you got to kind of know what you're getting into. But I would be interested to try a pair though. I was never really into like the Jordan 1 React because it just had a look that I wasn't super on board with. But this type of style here, the model itself does have an odd look in some ways, but you throw it in the right color, and I'd be inclined to try it because again, I like comfortable shoes, and again with that look, it's the Jordan 1 look, and that's fine enough. Though obviously, like there's some slight changes. There's enough. I guess there weren't any like normal ones that came out this month, huh? Like the Shadow One or like the Royal Toe One, where it's just like a normal Jordan One. So you just kind of got these other things. But these are both comfort releases, right? Personally, I kind of lean a little bit more towards the bottom one. I mean, nothing against black and red; it's a fine combination. But I don't know, something about this bottom one just kind of stands out a little bit more to me. It just doesn't look as plain for some reason. So there's that piece of it. But I think it's a women's release though. So I probably could have gotten it because or whatever, because the women's releases, I'm a 9.5, but I usually go with like a 9 for like Jordans and stuff. So I could probably, because that'd be like a 10.5 in women's. And a lot of times when they do women's releases, I want to say they go up to like 11, something like that. So yeah, I could have pulled that off, but yeah, just because you kind of are curious about something doesn't mean you have to actually go for it. The Oreo Fives. This one, it's in some weird middle ground for me because I really like fives, right? It's one of my top three Jordan models. Threes, excuse me, fives, sevens, and 12s are my favorite Jordans, right? This one, like I said before, I'm not a huge black and white fan, but this one isn't bad. It's just one of those things where if we were to go back, let's see, what is it, 20? If we were to go back like 3 years or something, I could have seen me going for it because at the time I wouldn't have had as many shoes as I do now, right? So there's like still holes in the collection. But at this point, being more selective, that makes me less inclined to go for these. They're not bad. If this was like say 2018 where stuff didn't really sell out all the time and would just hang out in stores and eventually be like 20-30% off, this is that kind of purchase for me, right? Because I could see these being released like years ago and like hitting outlets or something. It seems like it would be an overlooked shoe. Let's see. Even Jordan didn't like playing in ones. Still had blisters. Oh yeah, I remember like hearing about him talking about like the blisters and bleeding in the I think it was in like the last game, or what was that thing called? That documentary they did last summer. Last Shot? I don't know, whatever that 6-part documentary was that they did. I remember him saying something like that in that one, you know? I can't imagine. Yeah. But then again, like back then, you know, like people didn't really have a lot of options for shoes, but I tell you what though, like if they had some of the stuff that like some of the technology wise like today back then, who knows how much better some of those people would have actually been, you know? Because the shoes can hold back to some extent, I suppose. But I would just imagine that if they had like, say, you take like a Jordan 35 and you go back and you give that to somebody back then, they'd probably be moving and grooving right down that court, you know? Let's see. I was going to grab the Oreo Fives, then I need another black and white shoe, but I'm thinking of reaching back for Panda Dunks or wait for Royalty 12s. What color is the Royalty 12? That might be my first time hearing of it because I don't really look at like what's coming out because like release dates change so much, you know. So that's why I do recaps instead of like forecasts. Because I know a lot of people do like the forecast reviews or forecast videos, and then like a bunch of stuff changes like to different dates. Some of it doesn't come out at all for months. Yeah, this I just don't. But let's see. Yeah, the Royalty 12s, like you'll have to explain what those are because I don't know that I've seen them. Well, okay, it was Last Dance. All right. Yeah, like I thought it was Last Dance, but you know how like something's on your mind, you're like, yeah, I think it's called this. But like then you say it, you're like, that doesn't even sound right. That's yeah. But moving on. So the 11 IE low or low IE bread, whatever. I saw these in a couple stores around here, not in like a full size or anything like that, but it was usually like some large size where I could put like both of my feet into it, you know, one of those things. And so I was like, okay, this does nothing for me, but I picked it up just to look at it, you know, pick it up just to look at it and just to kind of get a good idea for what this thing is. And there's some things about these that they're doing right, you know, like the leather seemed pretty nice, you know, like got the breathability and all that stuff. The color isn't bad, but I think I just don't like the IE itself, right? I don't like that weird layer that they have instead of like the patent leather design. That I don't like it, you know? And that's kind of just what it comes down to. And so usually, again, for being selective, when I don't like something, I try not to like make myself like it or try to figure out like what else is good about it. I just kind of accept it, you know? So I looked at them and I was like, I can see I know that people like 11s, and there is some history to these, right? If you saw Jeezy's video, he kind of talked about it a little bit. So there is something to these if you know some stuff or you care about that stuff, sure. But to me, to the average consumer, right? Because numbers aside, like when it comes to me buying stuff, it's really just like, oh, these look nice. These seem comfortable. But, you know, that's kind of how I shop mentally. So seeing something like this, it's just like I look at it and like, yeah, I'm good. Let's see, the 12s that look like Taxi, but more. Oh, okay. I do vaguely remember that. Do I? I feel like I do, unless I'm just thinking of something else. Let's see. So we got another Jordan here. This is the 13 Obsidian. It's been 5 years that I've been waiting on them to make a 12 Obsidian because, like, that's the one everybody talks about, like their Grail shoe or whatever. For me, in case anybody's curious, it's the Obsidian 12. That's the one where, like, when I get that, at that point, I will, I'm pretty sure I will have everything that has ever truly stood out to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty much it. It's a very short list. Very, very short list. With a slight honorable mention to some Grant Hills or something that I could have bought in the past like 2 years, but I didn't want them that badly. Now this, yeah, and going off of what vlogging said, like I've got no problems with this shoe other than the fact that it's a 13 and not a 12. I did a very half-hearted review of it where I really just talked about what I thought of it, but it's not bad, you know, it's not. The material seemed fine, all that good stuff. I'm just not a 13 guy. I stop at 12. That's just how my collection is structured. But otherwise, it'd be, I don't know, it'd be worth I'd consider it. You know, if I did go up to 13 or higher, whatever, it'd be one to consider. I will say that. Let's see. He's saying the 12 Obsidian lows. Love that basketball shoe. I can see that. I have to kind of picture it because, like, I've never seen those actually, but I've seen 12 lows. I mean, seen 13 lows, and obviously I'm looking at an Obsidian, so they just kind of put two and two together. So a couple of Hirachis came out. There's a couple of these to get through real quick. I did pick up that upper pair. I actually got them last month or the previous month because they came out early overseas. Then they got delayed in the States. So they're pretty nice though. It was one of the ones that I looked forward to a little bit more than usual. This grayish colored pair I have not seen anywhere. So I must have just missed that one. But I got the London Hirachis, the ones that were like all black and on the bottom they said, "Have you hugged your feet today?" Something like that. I got those, so I'm kind of good on like dark colored Hirachis, but these are pretty nice. Even as a plain shoe, they still look pretty nice to me. These were cool. I just when I saw the first pictures and stuff, I was not on board. I thought I saw these scribbles on the side. I was like, well, that's stupid. And then I had seen the other shoe, not the left shoe, I guess, and I was like, well, I don't really care for this combination so much, but it was bad lighting, I guess, or maybe the picture itself just wasn't good. Either way, I wasn't on board. But then I saw that they were like had the multicolored thing going on, like kind of one looked the other way, or one looked one way, the other looked another way. And so when I saw them at Foot Locker, I was like, yeah, these are okay. And I bought whatever size. I think I yeah, I bought a 10 because I was still kind of on the fence, figuring like if I didn't like them, you know, give them to my brother or something after I wear them a little bit. But since they are pretty nice, I'll keep them a little bit longer than I expected. These, on the other hand, I just could not get into. The toadstool, I just, I don't know, man. Something about this black and pinkish bronze or whatever that color is, I just didn't like. But it seemed like this was one that was around a while ago and they just brought back because I know they've been doing that a lot lately with bringing back older Hirachi colors. And so this one, I just saw it and I'm like, oh, no. I do have a lot of Hirachis because I do like them, but I'm not going to buy all of them, you know? Okay, so now we're into some Air Maxes. So it means we're just about done here. So the Air Max 90 Luchador, or excuse me, Air Max 90 Lucha Libre, that's this top one. So I did see these, and some people were like, "Oh, are you gonna get those? Because like you like wrestling and stuff." I'm like, I do like wrestling, right? But this was like a super plain black and white shoe, so no. And I have so many Air Max 90s already. Like, if I buy another Air Max 90, it's gonna be one that I like really like. And honestly, like the last Air Max 90 that I saw that I really liked, I didn't buy it because I have so many. And like I kept looking at it, thinking like, man, I should buy this. And then all the sizes started to sell out around my size. It's like, man, I should really get this, but I don't know. And so then like they sold out of the 9.5, and I was like, all right, well, looks like the decision has been made for me. Also, the KG Flight Posit, futuristic looking Flight Posit threes. I do not. I only know so much about those. There's some that I can picture, and I don't even know if it's like the exact thing you're talking about. The full, yeah. So, because there was the one I don't know if it's the one that you're saying is I don't know if the one that you're saying is the one that I'm picturing. I don't know why it was so hard for me to get that out. But let me take a quick break from going through this. And let's see. And okay, yeah, actually, that was the 2 is the one that I was picturing when you said that. Because who was it? Somebody, what's her name? Rachel Ellering. She's wearing a very similar one to those eggplant colored Flight Posit 2s. It might have been the actual Flight Posit 2, but yeah, she was wearing a pair in some pictures or something recently. This is one of the wrestlers, like, and I was like, man, those are pretty all right. But yeah, I can imagine. That's the thing about the foam posits. Like, I like them. They're good for certain things, right? But breathability is not one of them, not at all. And I think actually this was the one that I was talking about. This lower 90 is the one that I saw that I really liked. It looked like it had some nice materials on it. The color was cool, you know. Yeah, I kind of, in some ways right now, I wish I had bought it, but at the same time, like, I know that I'll get over it by the time this list is over because it will be out of my mind at that point. But as I look at it right now, it's like, man, I wish I had bought that. But, you know, I I pass on a lot of things because I get a lot of things. So, you know, you can't be greedy. So let's see. The top pair was the other part of the peace, love, peace, and swoosh, or whatever. It's like that Hirachi or that I was just talking about, where it had like the multicolor thing. This is one of those pieces. They also had an up tempo, which I don't have on this list because I remember looking at it when I was going through the pictures. I'm like, man, those are ugly, and I just kept on scrolling. I forgot that I wanted to put them in here because it was part of a pack, but you know, my first impression just kind of carried a little bit more weight than it usually does. But yeah, these driftwood 90s, I do really like those. But you know, they should have made them a couple of years ago. Then it would have been a different story. These Safari print is usually one of my weaknesses, right? It's hard to not go for a good Safari release. This is a decent Safari release. The red and the yellow kind of throws things off for me. But I mean, had they picked one to stick with, had this all been yellow or had this also been red, could have been okay, I think. But something about the switcheroo here, not really on board with. Oh, let me get back over here and make sure I'm not missing things. But yeah, it's still fine. You know, it's fine. It's okay. But it's not good worth like, man, like I gotta get these. You know? It wasn't gonna get that kind of attention from me. But I would like to see them bring out some more Air Max 1s because I feel like there hasn't been an Air Max 1 release in like forever. They're bringing back 96s. Was it the Air Max 96 2 or something like that? I think that's what they called it. So I don't have any 96s, but I kind of wanted to get this one because I want to see what the 96 is all about, for one. Because I would like to have one of, maybe not every model, but most Air Max models, because I do like Air Maxes. It's what got me into shoes in the first place. And so I would like to have more Air Max models. This color is pretty good because I do like this color style. I have it on the 270 and the Vapormax 2. Yeah, the Vapormax 2. The Dusty Cactus is what they call it on those. And this is very similar. It's got the white, the black, the teal, a little bit of gray here and there. So it'd be a nice one to kind of go with those. But they aren't selling. So I'm wondering if that means I can just kind of sit back and wait for it again, like wait for that price to drop and then wait for a sale to hit and that price drop just a little further because of that sale. That would be nice. It would. Because I think these are probably like, I'm going to guess 160. And paying that kind of money for something, not always a fan of it. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's just justifiable. These, the Air Max 97, right? I'm a huge fan of the Air Max 97. It's in my top 5 Air Max models. I've never put those in order, but just know it's in the top 5. And so looking at these, though, it reminds me of like why I don't have a lot of 97s. And that's because most of the colors that they make aren't that great. So that top one, I forget what they call it, something gold, rusted gold, or something gold. Eh. And then the bottom one it's the better of the two, but I still don't think it's that good, you know? It's one that, again, like if this was a couple years ago, I would have bought it, no question. But that's probably when I had like 197 or something. So this one, I think I'm perfectly fine accepting the fact that there aren't going to be a lot of 97s that I want. So the ones that I do find that I get, like, I'll appreciate them more because they come along so seldomly, you know? But at least they're not completely skipping over them like they do like the 98s. I also don't seem to get a lot of pluses all the time either. And when I do see a new plus, Air Max Plus, it's just like it just pops up and it's just like in stores, like no warning whatsoever. The Air Max BW, I don't know if this is like a temporary thing, but they have put out a couple of those in the last month or so. And it seemed like there were a couple people that were looking forward to them. So good for them. They were able to get them because it seemed like they did not move super quickly. I kind of like this lower color over this upper color. And then when you bring this here orange and black one into the mix, I still side with this here brown and white one. What did I just click on? Okay. I was trying to click on the chat and then accidentally clicked away from it. Okay. Yeah, I missed out on the Air Max 97 Citron. Bummed about that. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it sucks because, I mean, I don't know where 97s rank for you, you know, but given that it's kind of a rare find to see one that you like, that kind of makes it suck a little bit more when you do miss out on it, you know? But I mean, life goes on, and at the same time, like, there have been certain releases that I'll see where, like with the denim 97s, like those denim cork 97s, those came up and then they just disappeared immediately. So I thought I was just never gonna get those. Then I saw them on Finish Line, snatched up a pair, then they disappeared from there, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I got these when I did. And then Nike had them later, and like they sat there for like a while. So sometimes stuff pops up in one place, goes away, and then it pops up in another place and sticks around. So maybe you'll find them later, you know? It's just a matter of like putting in that work and like seeing how badly do you want them. Because sometimes I miss out on stuff, and it's like if it's not easy to get, I don't want it. You know, if I have to put in effort, no, thank you. And then there's another BW colorway, some kind of blue, white, whatever. But speaking of pluses, again, you don't really see a whole lot of them popping up, but these two came along at some point. So it almost looks, from a distance, it looked like it was like a camouflage thing, you know, like when I see like hunting gear or something. But then looking at it closer, it looks like it could just be like almost like scratched up glass, broken glass sort of thing, you know. So I'm not sure what they were going for here, but it's kind of a decent look. I think I'd side more with the blue over the black, just because, you know, it's not so plain. It's not as wearable. I mean, there is that argument, but hey, weren't 97s one of the first full visible Air Max? To my understanding, yes, because the only other ones that I can picture, well, wait, yeah, because the 95 didn't, then we just saw 96, and then like the 98 was next, and I think the Plus came after that, but that one, so, and that's how those looked. So I'm going to say that it was, just going off of what I can recall. So that's another cool thing, you know. I do like that full visible air unit thing. Also makes for some nice comfort. I do kind of like the overall comfort of the 98 a little bit more, just because some of the 97 uppers can be a little restrictive. The 98s, at least the ones that I have, are not. So then again, also to be clear though, not all 97s are made the same way, right? But on average, just saying, I think I prefer the 98s overall for comfort, but for looks, I still prefer the 97 over the 98. The Vapormax 2021. got a nice little price drop into somewhat of a normal range, and they got rid of that stupid box on the top and that pull tab on the back. So these are pretty nice. And this is the Sprite colorway. So it's not the most ideal one, but it's just in here to, just so I can talk a little bit more about some Air Max, Vapormax lines. My thoughts on the Air Max 720s? No, don't like them. Never liked them. Well, I almost had never liked them, but I wasn't fully on board at the start. Then I bought another pair because I thought maybe it's just me. Did a wear test, did the whole thing. Nope, not a fan of the 720. It doesn't look good, doesn't feel good. Some of them look decent, though. I will give them that. It's just looking decent is not enough. It needs to feel at least decent, too. I made a rant about those a couple months ago with the, what's that colorway I have, like deep indigo or something? I don't know. It's somewhere buried in my like kicks of the day videos, but yeah, I'm not on board with them. Let's see. I think I had a copper color one. No. Do I? No, that's like a fire colored one. Because I have the first one that came out, the Northern Lights. Then I bought some kind of like fire colored one. And then the last one, the most recent one I bought was that blue one. So I could do like another wear test and see if, yeah, it didn't work out. So now we just we don't get along. I have them. Yeah, I might wear a pair once in a while just for the heck of it, but I don't enjoy it. Let's see, I like those good Vapormax colors, always get reserved for women, but I can still get, and I think pretty sure that one is a men's one, but I mean, it's a Vapormax 2021. Like, if you want a pair of those, Mr. Kicks, you are probably going to be able to get a pair quite easily. You may not want to pay the price necessarily, but they are there, especially around here. Like, I see those things in stores all the time, all the colors. That's how I was able to get what was that pair I got? Something green. I actually got them not early, but like I think the store got them early. And had I gone there regularly, I would have known that. And then I could have got them early. But it is what it is. Finish line still came through for me, and that's all that counts. Now, these top 700s, these Honey Flux ones, I almost put in a raffle for those because I was like, man, I do like black and yellow, and I think it was around the time when I didn't get those pollen ones, so I was like, well, this could be a consolation prize of sorts, so maybe I could go with this. But then I was like, if I put in on this raffle, I bet you I'm gonna get it, and I'm still not sure that I really even want these. I just like black and yellow, you know what I'm saying? And I was curious to try a different 700, but that big branding is definitely a turnoff, right? And that's why I never bought a pair before. But as I've said in the past, the right colorway will sway me even if I don't like the overall model. So I figured it's got a good color, it's going to have the boost, so it's going to be at least some kind of comfortable. I'm still not a fan of that large 700 though. But in the end, I didn't buy them, and then it seemed like it was a good thing because they were readily available on Confirmed, maybe to this day. Let's see, you bought the NASA-looking white ones and the copper caught your eye. You're on the overall feel being off. Yeah, a bit too stiff and not much cushioning. Yeah, it was weird. It's like, and I look at 720s, I look at all Air Maxes, and I want to like all of them, but some of them they just don't work for me. I just put it on, I'm like, no. And it's not even like an Air Max 90 where like I've got no actual complaints about the 90. It's just not a model that I'm a super huge fan of, just based only off the visual, right? They get some great colorways and all that. The comfort is solid. It's just, as a model, I'm just like, I like a lot of other things more. But when it comes to the 720, it's like, okay, yeah, I just can't do this. The Mauve 700, what's this, a V3? Right? Or is it a 2? It's a 2. Because the V3 looks all alienish. So this is the V2. These, I don't know. I don't know where I stand on these. because they are exceptionally plain, right? They look like, I don't know, it's like a Rolo if somebody like put a Tootsie Roll on top or something, like, and it was kind of melted. I don't know. It just is like just brown on brown on brown on brown, you know, a lot of brown going on here. So it's not awful. I mean, it's a good fall thing, you know, because it did come out for the fall, so there's that. But personally, I saw no reason to buy these, but I can see a slight appeal to them, especially with the 3M on the side. That's kind of cool, but no. And also no to these overall. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I'm going to keep putting in the raffles until I actually get a pair of these foam runners to try for myself because I'm curious what it's like. But I can already feel myself being slightly saddened by the fact that I spent like $100 or however much these things cost. Uh, and like I always say, it looks like some really fancy woodwork. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody like cut off a tree branch and was like, "Hey, check this out." And like they made this. Oh, what is this? Like a candle holder or something? No, it's a shoe. I'm like, oh, okay, right. That's how I feel about it. But looking at them, yeah, it's stupid looking, right? But I'm curious to see what they actually feel like as I walk around in the apartment, because one does not wear these in public. You don't do that. Also, this, not a shoe to be worn in public. This is like, I don't know, like, you know how when they show like those old movies, like from like the 40s or something, and it's like Ebenezer Scrooge or something, and he's like in this like full top to bottom like nightgown sort of thing. He's got like some slippers on. Like this is what I'd imagine he'd be wearing, you know? This right here. They also slightly remind me of like the little foot things that they give you if you ever go to like those trampoline parks, because you know they're like socks, but they have like some grip on the bottom, so you're not slipping. So if you've ever worn socks on a trampoline, it is not a good idea, right? I don't know if people know it's not a good idea because they're slippery, right? But something like this, that seems like what these are made for. And I don't know who's wearing these and where they are wearing them, but oh my god, they just look dumb. You know, they look like they might be warm, possibly, you know, because it looks like a sock, but like a sock you can wear around the house and you know not be slipping. So moving on, the Quantum. This one, as much as I'm not a huge fan of plain black type shoes, these actually look pretty decent. The model itself is still not great in my eyes, but the shoe actually looks fine. You know, every so often, you know, something that I don't think I would like just kind of works. And this is one of those times. Would I buy it? Oh, no, definitely not. But I wouldn't like say bad things in the comment section on somebody's video if they had them. Not that I normally go around like saying bad things in comments or whatever, but I am honest when I like leave my comments on stuff. Sometimes if my thoughts are too honest, I just comment on something else in the video, like, "Oh, I have that shirt too," and I just leave it at that. And then hope that they don't ask me how I felt about the actual shoe. So if you're one of the fellow YouTube folks and I ever leave a comment that's along those lines on one of your videos, that's why. So secrets out. Finishing things off, got a couple slides. So this pair is the Green Glow or the Glow Green. I want to say it's Green Glow. Then you have the Pure and you also have the Soot, right? So I was able to get the Soot pair, which is basically brown. I wanted the green pair, you know, and this one, I'd say this was like would have been my third choice. If they were all readily available, that would have been the third choice, the Pure. But it's the Yeezy slides. Like, again, much like the Yeezy sock or whatever that thing was called, I don't wear my slides into the public world, right? Because that's where I wear actual shoes. I got a lot of shoes, so that's where I wear them. Slides are to me to stay indoors. So that's where I wear them, and they're fine for that. I don't see why anybody would want to wear them out like that. I see it all the time, right? And also with these, one of the things, and I talked about this in the review, I don't have the shoe over here to show, but on the inside, it kind of has those lips, right? So like to kind of like keep your foot from slipping off the edge in some ways. But if you're wearing these and it's raining, like the water is just going to like all puddle up in your shoe. And that sounds terrible. I mean, it's bad enough to step in a puddle, but like to have like your own personal puddle like strapped to your foot sounds worse, right? So yeah, these, I don't know what people are doing, but let people do what people are gonna do. If I'm not on board with it, I'm not on board with it. But hey, whatever. So there we go. We've gone through that whole thing. So now real quick, I'll jump on here, show you guys a couple of my personal favorite pickups, which is actually like most of my pickups for the month, honestly, because I didn't really get a lot last month. So we'll start with what's on top because that seems easy. And this, you probably saw this coming, but this is the Sunflower A6 Gel Light 3. I was trying to look and make sure this thing's in the camera and not all like too off-centered. So I told two unnecessary stories. Well, one unnecessary story and one long story. Maybe they were both long. In the review, when I was talking about these, as far as like kind of what made me buy them. And that was that. I also bought two of these. There's some crap on here that needs to be cleaned up, but you know, usually ASICs are really good with like the quality and all that. Just every so often around these little holes, you can kind of just see like where it was punched through. I guess like there's a little bit more cloth in there that kind of didn't get dealt with properly. But hey, it is what it is. I bought a pair for me. I bought a pair for mom. So I'll give those to her. I don't know, maybe for her birthday or something. I honestly just bought them because like I thought she'd like them, and it was like getting hard to find a size 7. So there's that piece of it. Up next, got us in. Hopefully, I grabbed the right box. Yeah, good. Got us an Adidas Ultra 4D. This one I had been looking at for basically since this model came out, honestly. And I don't know what it was. It's just this combination of colors just really stood out to me. I ended up getting that Oreo pair, right? Which I wasn't against, but this was the pair that I wanted, you know? So now it's the other pair that I have, which means I'm probably done with the Ultra 4D line outside of any like maybe collaboration type things come around that I really like, because this was the one that I wanted. So now I have it and I think I'm okay. So there's that. I mean, because when you look at certain models, it's like I only need so many of them. When it comes to like utility shoes or whatever, those I'll like get a couple of or whatever, just because it can be nice to have multiple pairs of shoes for like the rain and things like that. But otherwise, like certain things, I only need so much of it. Now then you have like this, right? The Ultra Boost. Now I have a lot of Ultra Boosts because I really like them. Push these laces out of the way. So I have a lot of these because I do really like them. And then being an Iowa guy, the black and the yellow, it's definitely one of those things that appeals to me. And it's just a cool color anyway, right? I know people look at stuff like this often and, oh, yeah, man, got to get Wu-Tang stuff. It's like, I don't look at it like that. I just look at it as I like black and yellow. I also like Legos, right? So as you see, these are like the Lego combination or Lego collaboration that they did. Got the Lego stuff up there and all that good stuff, right? So I think these actually came out Friday because like I got the early access through Adidas and then they sent them to me like super fast. So I want to say that now, if you're looking for a pair of Lego Ultra Boost, I want to say all the colors have been released. So you can go and scroll through and see which color really speaks to you, and then I guess get that maybe. If you're cool with the price, I mean, 180 is it's still $180, right? So it's a lot for an Ultra Boost. But in this particular case, again, I really like those, so I just kind of put those thoughts to the side and went with it. But there we go. We have gone through everything that there is to go through as far as like what shoes came out for the month and what my favorite pickups of the month were. So if anybody out there still has anything on your mind, any questions you want to throw my way, now is your time to do it. Because part of the allure to doing these live sessions is that I can sit back and I can answer things in more depth than when I'm just commenting or whatever. Because I don't always like to leave long comments and stuff because sometimes it's like it just gets a little wordy. But in a setting like this, it's a little bit different. But in the meantime, if no one has anything, that's cool. We can, just kind of wrap this up. Like I said, I'm gonna go see Shang-Chi in like an hour or two or something. I don't know. Sometime today. So, from me to you, first off, thanks everybody that came through here. I do really appreciate that because I know that you could be doing whatever you want to do with your Sunday. You could be watching something else. You could be maybe playing some Tony Hawk or something. But instead, you decided to give me at least a little bit of your attention, even if you're just listening and just kind of like every so often look at the screen. So whatever you gave to me, I do appreciate, and so that's why I do try to find ways to give back to the people that watch this stuff and whatever. So I don't know that I'll be doing a giveaway too soon necessarily, but because I just did one like a couple of weeks ago, right? I feel like I did. And then normally I'll give something back, but there was something that happened. Oh yeah, I donated money towards things, within the kind of give back to a different community every so often. So I donated some money like last week or something. So I think that was kind of like my thing. But there'll probably be another giveaway sooner or later. So just keep your eyes open because I usually don't like talk about them. They usually just get slipped into videos here and there, and then people just respond to them as they respond to them. Hey, and you have a nice rest of your Sunday too, Steve. But on that note, from me to you, and I say you as in everyone, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'll be back with, you know what? I might not be back for a bit, honestly, because I don't have any shoes coming in. And unless something catches my eye in person, I'm probably not going to be buying anything anytime soon. So I don't know, maybe unless some 12s or 350s come along or something, I might not be buying any shoes for a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Or those gel light threes I was thinking about. Who knows? We'll see what goes on. Later, people. Where's the end button?